We often imagine creativity as sudden inspiration, a flash of brilliance, a perfect moment of insight, a mysterious spark that appears without warning. But when you examine the lives of great writers, artists, scientists, and thinkers, a different pattern emerges. Their work rarely depends on inspiration. It depends on routine. In daily rituals, Mason Currey reveals the quiet truth behind creative achievement. Great work is not built on dramatic bursts of motivation. It is built on consistent, ordinary habits repeated every day. Behind masterpieces, discoveries, and great ideas, there is often something surprisingly simple: a schedule, the myth of the creative genius. We like to imagine that great thinkers live chaotic, unpredictable lives. But in reality, many of them are extremely disciplined. They protect their time. They structure their days. They repeat the same routines again and again. Creativity, in most cases, is not spontaneous. It is scheduled. Routine removes the need to constantly decide when or how to work. It turns creativity from a rare event into a regular practice. The routine becomes a container for thought. Why rituals matter. Rituals create stability. They reduce friction. They eliminate unnecessary decisions. They prepare the mind for deep work. When a ritual is repeated long enough, the brain begins to associate that environment and time with focus. The body learns the signal. Now we work. Rituals transform effort into habit. Instead of waiting for motivation, the work simply begins. The discipline of ordinary days. One of the surprising discoveries in Currey's research is how ordinary creative lives often look. Many great figures wake up early, work for several hours, take long walks, rest, then return to work. Their lives are not filled with dramatic moments. They are filled with structure. What makes the difference is not intensity. It is consistency over years. Great work accumulates slowly. Morning, the quiet power of starting early. Many creative thinkers begin their most important work early in the morning. Not because mornings are magical, but because mornings are quiet. Fewer distractions, fewer interruptions, less noise. The mind is clearer. Early hours allow deep focus before the world begins demanding attention. Protecting the first hours of the day often protects the most meaningful work. The role of constraints. Creativity often grows stronger within limits. Time limits, routine, deadlines. These boundaries force the mind to work with what exists instead of waiting for ideal conditions. When time is limited, perfectionism becomes less powerful. Work happens. Constraints create movement, walking and thinking. One recurring ritual among thinkers is walking. Walking creates rhythm. It moves the body while allowing the mind to wander freely. Many writers and philosophers used walking as a form of thinking. Ideas develop while the body moves. The pace of walking often matches the pace of reflection. Movement helps unlock mental clarity. The importance of stopping. Equally important as working is knowing when to stop. Many creators deliberately limit their working hours. Not because they lack dedication, but because exhaustion destroys clarity. Stopping early preserves energy for the next day. It also creates anticipation. The mind continues working subconsciously when the body rests. Creativity is a long game. The routines described in daily rituals reveal a powerful pattern. Great work rarely comes from a single intense effort. It comes from thousands of small sessions of focused work. Page after page, idea after idea, day after day. Routine transforms ambition into a sustainable practice. Without routine, creative effort becomes inconsistent. With routine, progress becomes inevitable. The reality behind artistic lives. Many artists struggle with distractions, doubts, and personal difficulties. Some battled anxiety. Some struggled with discipline. Some experimented with unusual habits to maintain focus. But even within these struggles, routines appeared. Structure became a stabilizing force. Routine does not eliminate difficulty, but it creates a foundation that allows work to continue despite difficulty. Why waiting for inspiration fails? Inspiration is unpredictable. It cannot be commanded, but routine invites it. When you sit down at the same time every day, the mind begins to anticipate creative work. Ideas appear more frequently because the mind has been trained to produce them. Creativity becomes less mysterious, more dependable. The routine acts like a doorway that inspiration can walk through. The value of repetition. Repetition often feels boring, but repetition builds mastery. Each day of work strengthens skill, confidence, and familiarity with the craft. The work becomes easier to begin. The resistance becomes weaker. The small daily effort compounds. Over time, the routine produces something remarkable. Protecting attention. One lesson repeated across creative lives is the protection of attention. Distraction is the enemy of deep thought. Many creators deliberately limit interruptions. They work in quiet spaces. They avoid unnecessary obligations. They guard their mental energy. Attention is the most valuable resource for creative work. Routine protects it. The balance between structure and freedom. Interestingly, rituals do not limit creativity. They enable it. Structure handles the predictable parts of the day. Freedom appears inside the work itself. By removing daily chaos, routines create mental space for imagination. Order outside, freedom inside. This balance allows creativity to flourish. Ritual is identity. Over time, rituals become part of identity. The routine is no longer something you force yourself to follow. It becomes who you are. You become someone who writes every morning, someone who studies every day, someone who practices consistently. The ritual shapes the self. Small days build great lives. The central lesson of daily rituals is quietly powerful. Great achievements are not built in extraordinary moments. They are built in ordinary days repeated for years. A few hours of focused work, a walk, a return to the desk, a night of rest, and then the next day begins again. Slowly, quietly, the work accumulates. What looks like talent from the outside often begins as discipline. Designing your own rituals. You do not need to copy anyone else's routine. The goal is not imitation. The goal is structure that supports your work. A ritual can be simple. A consistent time to begin. A quiet place. A clear task. A defined stopping point. What matters most is consistency. Ritual transforms intention into action. Daily rituals reveals something deeply reassuring. Great work does not require perfect conditions. It requires showing up again and again. The same desk, the same time, the same commitment to begin. Routine removes drama from the process. It replaces inspiration with discipline. And over time, those ordinary days produce extraordinary results. The secret of creative lives is not mystery, it is practice. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Like if this message inspired you to build better daily rituals. Comment, what daily habit helps you stay creative or productive? Subscribe for weekly book wisdom. Share with someone who wants a more meaningful routine.